the ultimate magic bullet. This paper suggests they found an ingredient energy drinks that might literally reverse aging. They claim taurine deficiency drives aging, and reversing it increases lifespan. But read a little further, and the human side of the story starts to look very different. The thermometer starts at 0, so let's begin the audit. They built a massive foundation. To their credit, they didn't just test this in a petri dish. They measured blood taurine concentrations across mice, monkeys, and humans. Testing an anti-aging theory across multiple distinct species is exactly how you build a solid biological case. The core study design checks out. The math holds up. The massive drops in taurine they observed as subjects got older are mathematically consistent across their own text. The percentages they claim perfectly match the raw data they report. The numbers here are exactly right. The visual evidence is clean. The charts are honest, without any distorted axes to make small effects look artificially huge. They state exactly what their error bars represent. But jump to page 3, and the rigor continues. The researchers grading the tissue samples didn't know which animals got the treatment, keeping the results entirely blind. Visuals and blinding are both clear. We ran a check on their statistical margins. When testing the blood samples, they reported their exact borderline results. If a finding just barely made the cut for significance, they didn't round it down to make it look flawless. They let the imperfect numbers stay imperfect. The primary statistics are playing fair. They also opened their books for review. Every line of code and raw data file is publicly posted for anyone to check, because this is an animal study. A lot of strict human clinical trial rules simply don't apply. But what does apply is entirely transparent. Data sharing and structure get a clean pass. Which explains the prestigious journal. This was published in Science, one of the absolute top-tier journals in the world. It went through brutal peer review. The animal data is incredibly strong, but the moment they try to apply this directly to humans, the rigor vanishes. The publication venue is beyond solid. Let's go back to page 8 for the human data. When testing humans, they looked at dozens of different clinical traits to see if taurine had an effect, but they evaluated them using what's called a nominal p-value. If you buy 50 lottery tickets, you can't be shocked when one wins. When you run 50 different tests, some will look successful just by random chance. You have to adjust your math to account for all those attempts. For the human portion of this paper, they simply didn't. The human statistics fail completely. We break down one study a week in under 5 minutes. The layer peer review doesn't show you. Subscribe if you want that edge. So why push the human angle? The paper lists a provisional patent application right here in the fine print. But what does that actually mean in the real world? The senior author, V.J.K. Yadav, is listed as an inventor on a patent specifically for taurine supplementation. If humans start taking this to fight aging, the author stands to profit immensely. They technically disclosed the patent, but they left the commercial reality for you to figure out. The independent story is fundamentally compromised. Which brings us to the final verdict. 98 out of 100, and under normal circumstances, that's a passing grade. But this study used brilliant animal data to legitimize uncorrected, flawed statistics about human aging while holding a patent on the cure. That's not a design weakness. It's a misrepresentation of what kind of evidence this is. That single deception means every clinician who reads this is treating the human claims as stronger evidence than they actually are. That triggers an automatic discard. The science behind taurine in animals is solid, but this specific paper can't be the one you cite to. Prove it works in humans.